Welcome back to the JPC Frequency Podcast. This is episode number 10. I am going to be speaking with somebody who is part of one of my favorite podcasts in the world, the NoSleep Podcast. She is an OG voice actor and editor-in-chief, Miss Jessica McEvoy.
Oh, you have effects. How exciting.
Yes. I got to give you a round of applause. This is awesome.
Oh, exciting.
So, I understand that you're now you just got your new studio set up and everything. So how's that going?
I'm still trying to make sure everything still sounds good because, like, when you record in a new space, everything's instantly wrong, and then you have to figure out why it's wrong. So we're getting to a point that I can probably start properly recording again soon, hopefully.
Awesome. Because I was reading on the NoSleep website that you kind of started off with just like setting your microphone on top of some board games or something like that.
Oh, just absolute bare bones. Yeah, I had a Yeti Snowball, which is not a good microphone at all. And I would be in my little sister's walk-in closet on my knees. I had my mic balanced on some board games. I eventually got a little foam box around it. And I was just hoping all her clothes, because she had more clothes than I did, would just insulate the sound enough that it wouldn't sound like absolute trash. Yeah, I eventually, David very gently was like, I think you could use a better microphone. And then I ended up getting the Blue Yeti, which I used for a long time. And now I've got some fancy, actual professional microphone. Whenever anyone asks me about it, I have to go look at the box to try to remember what's going on with it. So a bit of an upgrade.
Oh, nice. Yeah. You know, you can definitely hear, because you started in the NoSleep, season 3?
Season 3. Yeah.
Wow, it's been a while.
I know, back in the day, because it was everyone's oh, the legacy performers and the OG voice actors and stuff. And I always considered myself new because I started in season 3 and they had those whole first 2 seasons without me. And now we just finished season 19 and I'm oh yeah, actually, I guess I have sort of been here a while.
Yeah. I remember I started listening to the NoSleep podcast in about season 9, I think is whenever I picked it up. And my wife just one day was like, hey, you need to check this podcast out, because I've been a really big horror fan. And I never really listened to podcasts or anything like that. And I started listening to you guys and I was like, damn, this is so good. And I went back and started, season 1 and started catching up. I'm slowly starting to buy all the season passes, just because I have so much extra content that I haven't got to hear. So I'm like, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's such a huge backlog at this point. I feel it's probably overwhelming to come in new at this point.
So now that you're editor-in-chief, what roles do you do? What does that really entail?
So I have 2 other editors I work with, and what they do is they go through our submissions inbox and they shortlist stories that they think would be appropriate for the show. Stories that are well written and, would be well adapted to audio. And then I go through their shortlist and pick out the ones that I think would work on the show. And then I get in contact with the authors, set that up. Then I mark them up for audio. We do not too much editing. A lot of it's just basic grammar, typos stuff, highlighting dialogue or separating sound cues, stuff like that. And then I pick the episodes that go into each, or picks the stories that go into each episode and then cast them, and then write a little synopsis for David so he can write his hosting script. And then I send that out to our admin, who then sends it out to the voice actors. And from there it goes to the producers and Brandon. So kind of the first line of defense in an episode, basically.
That's so cool. So did you start that in season 19 or had you already been doing that?
Oh, goodness. I think I started out just helping in editorial, season 11, because originally I was the one who started going through the slush pile. I was contacted by Olivia White, who was doing editorial at the time. She's like, we could use some help, because I think we were 2 years behind in submissions, and it was just drowning in all these stories. It's sure, I'll help out. So I started with just reading through the slush pile and helping shortlist stories. And then eventually from there, I just started doing more, I guess. Just kind of stumbled into becoming an editor, which was never really the plan, but here we are.
That's awesome, dude. Congrats.
Thank you.
So you're pretty much to blame for like a lot of the stories that actually do get greenlit and.
Oh yeah. So if you're like, man, the content on the podcast has gone downhill, you can just blame me and be like, that's all Jessica and her terrible taste.
Oh no, it's been good. I learned so much about Edgar Allan Poe with season 19 that I didn't know.
Dude, same though, because I was not expecting an Edgar Allan Poe theme for season 19, because I was like, okay, season 18 was kind of wild, had a lot of stuff going on. I was like, we're just going to have a nice, normal, basic season. I got some episodes planned out, and then David's like, so we're going to be doing Edgar Allan Poe. And I was like, he's like, and we're going to be doing Edgar Allan Poe poems like every third episode. And I'm like, all right, I'll go read some poems. So I think I actually have, I have my book with me. I bought the complete tales and poems of Edgar Allan Poe, and I read all of his poems, because not all of them are actually like horror poems, and some of them not super great. I think he wrote like one, it's like 12 pages, and he wrote it when he was like 15, and you can tell he wrote it when he was 15. But I read it because I'm like, maybe it's good. It wasn't. But then, picked out poems and then kind of tried to like organize stories around those poems that kind of fit thematically. But I hope it turned out okay.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. This season didn't disappoint for sure.
Yay!
I did have another question though. So how do y'all come up with like who's going to perform each? Like, do y'all be like, oh, Atticus sounds good for this role, or is it kind of just people read it themselves and be like, I want to do that? Or
sometimes it comes down to like availability. So like if someone's like, I'm going to be gone for this month, it's like, all right, cool deal. And then I try to rotate roles to a degree where it's like, people can have a full narration if their audio quality is like set up for that. But then sometimes it's like I read something and it's like I definitely hear someone's voice in my head. And then sometimes we'll have it like some authors are very familiar with the show and they'll have a recommended cast. And I usually try to go with their recommended cast if like, again, if people are available and if it's like a role that person would be comfortable with. Some of our voice cast have certain stories they don't really feel comfortable doing and try to like respect, because it's a horror podcast and people have their own, histories and things that have happened to them that they might not want to relive,
Oh yeah, that's interesting. So like they may see something and be like, oh no, that's not for me.
Yeah, like especially like people with kids, it's like they don't want to narrate something terrible happening to children, for the most part. So it's like, we'll give that to all those childless singles out there. They can read about terrible children stuff.
Yeah, so they got kind of their own trigger warnings.
Yeah, or like they've mentioned before, like some people like, I don't really want to be involved in anything like sexual on the show, which is fair because people get weird. People get so weird.
This is cool. I'm getting some behind the scenes stuff.
Hope I'm not giving too much away. I got a text from David like, you said too much, dial it back.
You got to have Josh scrap that one.
Yeah.
Oh, David Cummins, man. So what, is he like a teddy bear in real life? I feel like he's just the nicest guy.
Yeah, David's a sweetheart. Yeah. I've gone on 3 cross-country tours with him, so gotten to actually like, because beforehand, just being like a voice actor on the show, we don't actually like communicate too much with each other outside of like getting the roles and stuff back in the day. So it was cool to actually like meet him and have a conversation with him as like a person.
Oh, nice. Well, that brings me to one of my topics here. So I know you guys did, like you said, a few tours. What was that like? Because I've never even been to like a live podcast before, but I mean, what was the experience like?
It's just so incredibly weird. Because like the performing part, that's just like, I can just kind of like tune out the whole live aspect of it. It's just me and a microphone. And it's really cool to be able to like perform in, because like we all record separately and then we hear our roles later mixed in and stitched together with the producers. So it was cool to be able to like actually work off the other actors I'm talking to and be able to like kind of feed off of that energy. So the performances were just like, it was kind of like just doing a recording at home, but with other people. But the biggest part was travel is very draining. And then like meeting all the fans and stuff is just the weirdest thing. Cause it's like, again, we're all just doing this at home in our little closets usually. And then we go out in the world and people know who we are suddenly, and they have like things to say, and it's like, I wasn't prepared for this.
Yeah, it's like a cult following. Like, you don't realize how many people just love the content that you guys put out. I think we're just a bunch of weirdos who love scary stuff. So
yeah, no, it's pretty validating too, because a lot of like discourse online kind of tends to go towards the negative. So if you just like are reading comments about like the podcast from like the social media and stuff, it's always like, oh, the early seasons were scarier. They say that literally every season, is that the past seasons were scarier. But then to meet people who are like actually excited about what you do and enjoy it, and it's like, you are out there, you're real.
We exist. We love you guys.
Yay.
All right. Another thing that I had down, and it's one of my favorite, I guess, like subsets of the podcast, but I don't know if this is like, were you a creator of the Sleepless Decompositions or like a co-creator?
That was Olivia White's brainchild. She wanted to do something between the seasons where it's like, sometimes we get stories that are like, they're good, but we don't really have a place for them within the season. They kind of tend towards longer, or the content's kind of different. So she wanted to find a place between the seasons where we could do those stories. And I've always helped pick out those stories. And again, they're usually ones that it's like, they're too long for like a regular episode, but they're like too short to be like a full finale. So that's kind of where we're like, all right, we can still use this story. It's really good. We don't want to just be like, we can't use it. So that's where we snuggle them in.
Okay, yeah, because I just remember, because those were like some bonus episodes or something. When was it? Season 14 and 15, I believe, is when they started.
Yeah, I think somewhere around there.
Okay, I always thought, like, because I remember, like, you were, like, kind of narrating it at first. So
oh, yeah, that was during the European tour. That was, what did she call it? It was a pun. The New Decade, because it was a new decade.
Yeah. Okay.
I did not realize it was a pun until she had to explain the pun to other people, and then I felt very foolish. But yeah, that was during the European tour. They still wanted to put out content, but like David wasn't there, so it was kind of like, let's do like a little sort of mini season with some different stories and see how that goes. So yeah, that's kind of where it started, and then it kind of, I guess, the spiritual successor were the Sleepless Decompositions between the seasons.
Awesome. Yeah, you always put out so much stuff.
So much stuff.
Even during, okay, and I had to bring this up too, because I have to give all of y'all your props. During COVID, hard time for everybody. And the fact that you guys just kept all of us entertained, a lot of the YouTube stuff. What were y'all using, like Zoom back then? Oh,
yeah. Because, like, suddenly Skype, it was the time for Skype, right? You would have think, like, Skype was, like, the video conferencing tool for so long. Mm-hmm. And then the pandemic hit and everyone needed to use video conferencing, and Skype wasn't there. Skype was like, actually, no. So, yeah, it was just all Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah, I started out using Zoom first, and then I switched over to what we're using right now is Riverside. Pretty like inexpensive, but it's cool. Kind of like own online studio and whatnot. So
yeah, it looks cool. I'm like checking out the UI secretly.
Yeah, not too bad. I did so much research. I was like, I cannot screw this interview up. Like I was like, what's the best one? I spent at least like hours just trying to figure it out.
Dedication to the craft.
Oh yeah, you got to. I was kind of like yourself. Like when I started, I had one microphone, and I tried to interview a room full of people, usually my friends, because I didn't have anybody else at the time. And it was just like, we're all talking into one microphone. And I was like, yeah, this is how we do a podcast. I'm like, no, it's not. I need more.
Was it just chaos? How did it turn out?
You know what sucks? I had a old like 2010 MacBook, and that's where all my, recordings or whatever. And I just lost it all.
Oh no.
It would have been a gold mine. I know, like as far as like just nostalgia stuff, like old. Because I think most of the time it was like at a party or at a friend's apartment or something like that. So, but we're here now. Yeah, we made it. Started getting better equipment, kind of like yourself. I don't have like a sound treated room, but oddly enough, I watch Mike Delgadio's Booth Junkie, just because like I like the nerd stuff. So like eventually I'm gonna do like something. Which brings me to another question I have, and something that I really wanted to talk to you about is like, how does one begin to like enter in the realm of voice acting? Like, how did you get us? Did you always want to do something like that, or?
No, it was never. It's so weird because if anyone comments on my voice now, it's because they like know me from something. They're like, "Oh, you have such a nice voice. It was so suited for what you're doing." And that was never like a thing beforehand. No one was like, "Oh, you've got such a great voice. Have you considered radio?" It's kind of like a hindsight thing, I guess people associate it with. So it was never like in my brain that was something I could do. But just one day I saw, it was like an ad for ACX, which is the audiobook creation exchange, which is run through Amazon and stuff. And it was just like, hey, you can narrate audiobooks and you don't need any training and you can just do it at home. And I was at a sort of weird crossroads in my life where I didn't really know what I was doing or where I was going. And I was like, I can read. That sounds like something doable. That sounds within my power. So I bought my crappy blue snowball. And I started out on LibriVox, which is a volunteer site, because I was like, should probably get some practice in. And I recorded like one thing for them. And that's where I saw, because there was a forum post where you can post like other jobs that people are looking for. And David Cummings himself had a forum post, and it was like, hey, I'm starting this, or I've been doing this podcast, and we're starting to be able to like help pay our contributors and stuff. It's based on No Sleep stories, and I was a big No Sleep fan back in the day. So I was like, this sounds perfect. I'm, read scary stories. What a dream come true. So I got in contact with David, and then it just all kind of went from there.
How do you get in your zone, like when you're recording something? Because you got to do like screams and like, different, you might be crying in one, scene or something like that. Like, how does one get into that kind of a zone?
So the first thing I do, well, now that I'm in editorial, I've had read the stories beforehand, so I'm familiar with what they're about and typically what I'm going to need to do. But even though I've read it beforehand, I'll typically like right before I'm about to record, read it again. I'll look up any pronunciations I may need or anything like that. And then I just start reading for things like big, like emotional scenes and stuff. Like if the writing's there, like, I don't know, I wouldn't say I'm a particularly good actor because doesn't really feel like acting. Like it's like if I'm crying in a story, it's because I'm very sensitive and I'm just sad because the story's sad for the most part. Screaming and stuff, when we have to do those, it's like, all right, time. It took me so long to figure out like good mic settings for screaming, because it's like a lot of people are like, just stand back from the mic and scream, but then you listen to it and it sounds very far away, and it's like you hear it back later, like even if like you adjust like the audio levels. So it took a while to find like the best mic settings to be able to like scream and it sound like you're not in the next room screaming.
Yeah, because some of y'all's like the effects that y'all have on there, it's just crazy, because I never understood how y'all could do that, like how you fit the screaming in. So you say it's just adjusting the audio, making sure that it levels up with the rest of the actual talking, things like that. So
yeah, the producers do all the magic for the most part. I'll record my bits. They prefer to do like their own like noise removal and like mastering and stuff. So I don't fiddle around with too much, thank goodness, because editing audio is the worst. So they do all the hard, terrible stuff and make us sound good. So props to our producers.
Nice. Shout out to them. So you just get like your main track down, like all your recordings, and then just send it off, and that's cool.
Yeah. So if it's like a narration role, I'll just read it and then I'll go through and edit out all like, if I've got a bunch of gross mouth noises or like big gaps between sentences. So I'll cut it down for pacing, and that takes its own amount of time because I'm probably like far too meticulous about it. They're probably like, Jessica, you don't need to like cut things down to like milliseconds between sentences. It'll be fine. But for like dialogue roles where it's like not a lead role, I'll typically do a few takes of each line, just because it's like if you're talking to someone, I don't know how they're going to like respond in their own tone. So I'll give like a few takes of each dialogue line so the producers can pick the best one to like match to what everyone else is saying.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because So I never understood how the conversations go. Like, does somebody record their part first? You hear it and then you respond to it, or you're just all independently?
We all go in blind, or I guess deaf would make more sense. Yeah, no, we have our own highlighted roles. It helps if people I've like live performed with before, like if I have a story with David Alt, I know how David's going to say things for the most part, or like Nicole or something. I'm like, okay, I pretty much know how like to talk to them. But if it's for someone like maybe I don't usually have roles with as often, or I haven't like heard a story where we're talking together and I don't have like a good sense for like their narration style, it's a little bit more difficult. So I have to give like, I feel like more of a wide variety of options. So that way we all can kind of smooth together.
That's cool. That's cool. So you built like rapport with at least a few of them that you've worked with at least on a consistent basis.
Oh yeah,
so that's
you
cool.
Live with people on the road. You find out more than you ever need to about them.
Okay, there is a funny fact though, and I wrote this down. I had to. So you have a nickname, Snacks.
I do.
Which I thought was super hilarious because in my wife's phone, my name is Snacks. And
Incredible.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious because I was like, does she eat as much snacks as me? I don't know, because I'm a snack guy.
That is where the nickname comes from. We can blame Nicole for it. I just eat constantly.
Same.
And so like Nicole knows that. She's like, Jessica McEvoy, more like Jessica Snackavoy. And it was just a silly pun. And then Brandon is like, from this day forward, you are Snacks. And he drilled it into everyone's head that I am Snacks. And so that just became a thing between the tour group. And then I don't even know how. I think there was like, they called me it on like one of like a podcast episode or something, kind of like the ones where like we play ourselves. And then it just, and like in some ads and stuff, and then it kind of grew into the community as well that this is Snacks. So then on future tours, people started bringing me snacks, and that was great.
You got to start merch now, just like.
Oh, I should have worn my shirt.
Be your things, Snacks.
Yeah. And that's like, as far as like weird things people can give to you at a show, food, I'm here for it. I mean, even questionable food, like we've gotten like fresh baked cookies, and like you probably shouldn't accept, unpackaged food from a stranger. I'm going to, because I'm not going to be offered cookies and be like, I'm not going to eat your fresh baked cookies. So if you're looking to poison me, it'll be very easy.
Like that's how they get you with food.
Oh yeah, like no one would be surprised. It'd be like, yeah, it was this weird cake. It smelled weird. It looked weird. She ate it anyway. And it's like, well, if that's how you got to go, that's how you got to go.
Oh yeah, I guess that'd be the way I'd go too, because I'd eat anything.
Oh yeah.
They can bring me like a plate of cooked food from their home. I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll take some.
Right. Like I went to Thailand, and there's so much just like street food. It's incredible. It's amazing. And not all of it's in English. And there'd just be times where it's like, I don't know what this is, but it looks interesting. So you point to it, you get the food. There was one thing I couldn't even tell you if it was like plant or animal, but it was good. And I ate it.
You didn't know if it was plant or animal?
Yeah, it had like a weird consistency, and it was fried. And it had like this like spicy sauce on it. It might have been fried meat. It might have been fried anything. I survived. So
you're still here. That's all that matters. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw your Instagram post. That looked amazing. Like, so you definitely recommend traveling out there and checking it out. How long did y'all stay there?
Great. Thailand, I think that was 2 weeks, and then we recently did 3 weeks in Vietnam. But yeah, Southeast Asia has just such incredible food. It's so good. It's made me like so snobby now though, because it's like there'll be like Thai restaurants in the States, and I look at it and I'm like, is that Thai food though? I'm seeing a lot of crab rangoons. Is this really Thai food? You've
had the real stuff now, so you're like, no, right. I don't like this imitation.
Right. I've had so much mystery meat in Thailand. I'm like, where are the strange meat cubes? That's all I'm looking for. Just weird meat cubes. That's all I need.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out. I don't think I've ever tried any Thai food before, to be honest with you.
It's so good because, like, the culinary attitude in Thailand is basically you want like every flavor in every dish. So it's like you have something like sweet and salty and spicy and tangy and like pretty much everything you're eating. So it's like I get bored eating a lot of the time. Like if I'm eating like the same flavor over and over, I got to like mix it up, take a drink of something, have something on the side, just to keep my interest in a meal. But Thai food, you never get bored. You will always be entertained, whether it's in a good way or a bad way. You'll be there. You'll be living it.
Cool. So while you're there, is it like backpacking, staying at hostels type stuff, or is it like just normal like hotels or things like that?
For Thailand, yeah, it was hotels. And then in Vietnam, we met up with some friends that we met in Thailand, actually, and we had an Airbnb for a while, and it was hotels and a boat and a sleeper train. Yeah, just more of a hodgepodge when we went to Vietnam. But yeah, the hotels are fairly inexpensive, so it's not like you feel the need like, oh, I can't do a hotel. It's like crazy. Like I imagine backpacking through Europe, you'd probably need more of the hostel experience than like a hotel experience.
Yeah, I think I just need to get over my fear of traveling. I've never been out of the States before, and like it's just one of the. I've watched that movie like Hostel. I've just seen too many movies. I'm just like, I'm gonna get kidnapped or something. Like, I don't know.
Oh no, it's a great experience. If for nothing else than the food. If you are a snack man, you got to get out there. You got to try all the weird foods. Live your best life, you know.
Definitely. So let's get some behind the scenes of Jessica McEvoy here. What is her favorite snack?
Oh, see, that's hard because it like really depends on my mood. But if I have to go like favorite of all time, just like legacy favorite snack, I grew up on hot Cheetos. Like that was like currency in middle school. You traded packets of Lucas and hot Cheetos, and that's, you know, as far as we got as gambling went.
That's funny. That's probably one of my favorites. They just came out with one that they used to have back in the day when I was a kid. They're like little hot Cheeto balls. Yeah,
they got the like puff balls. They're doing all sorts of weird stuff with like everything now.
Yeah, I don't know why maybe I just like food shaped in little ball form. I don't know. Because I don't think it's too different.
It's convenient.
Yeah. I don't even gotta. I can just, I can tip the little canister up. I don't even gotta put my hand in there. So
there you go. And then you don't have to deal with like the cheesy residue fingers, which will last.
I lived with those on my hands in school. So.
Yeah, the red stain. Like you could see a hot Cheeto kid from a mile away.
Mm-hmm. That's funny. I love how we guys had a segment about snacks. That's amazing. All right. So what's some other stuff I've been interested in asking you? Were you always into horror genre, or is that something that you just did for the No Sleep, or?
Yeah, it wasn't like anything like conscious. It was just my mom was always really into horror movies, which is weird because she was very selective about the kind of things we could watch. Like I remember watching Titanic. We couldn't watch the scene with Rose's boobs. That was not allowed. Nudity wasn't allowed. But we watched Tales from the Crypt, which arguably far more traumatizing than a grown woman's boobs could ever be. But yeah, it was just, and then I read Goosebumps in elementary school. The librarian actually noticed that that's always where I went. I went to the little Goosebumps section. So if there was one that I hadn't read yet that came into stock or someone had returned and she knew I hadn't read it yet, she'd be like, I've got you. She was my supplier.
Nice.
And then, oh gosh, my favorite were those scary stories to read in the dark with the horrifying artwork. Those were the best. Yeah. So I guess it was always there, but it was, I don't know. I don't think I ever like thought about it. I wasn't like, yeah, I'm a horror junkie. It's just like, I just read scary books and watch scary movies. And then when I joined No Sleep and kind of found like there was a community around horror, that was really cool. I was like, oh, there's more of me. Exciting.
Yeah. There's a bunch of us weirdos out here.
Hell yeah.
It's like, I listen to it, going to sleep, and my wife will be like, hey, put the new No Sleep on. I'm like, okay. And it's funny because there'll be some stories that she's like, I cannot listen to this. And I'm like, okay, I'll turn this one off. And then she'll be like, going to sleep, listening to murder mysteries. And all I can hear is, and they found his decapitated head. Like, I'm like, how do you, this is real life stuff. One of those weird things. I'm like, oh man, but We like the true crime stuff, but that stuff scares me more than actual, like the horror stories do. Cause I'm like, this is like some real stuff. Like, are you planning on killing me? Like,
she's got it all planned. It's all research, it's what it comes down to.
And she already told me it's going to be with food, Josh.
We'll both go out the same way.
Yep. Oh man. So, any good movies that you've seen recently, or?
Oh man.
Do you even watch new horror movies?
I don't like watch movies anymore.
At all?
Yeah, like recently I've been trying to as like a social thing. Like I saw Barbie the other day because my friends wanted to go see Barbie. So it's like, we got to go see Barbie. But
did
yeah,
you dress up? Like
I did. I wore pink. I don't own much pink. It was not enough pink for my little sister. She wore like a whole pink dress. And then she came to pick us up and she's like, that's it. Do we need to go to my house and get you more pink? I'm like, we'll be fine. But some people went so hard. Like we got there and it's like, you knew what movie they were watching. They had the cowboy boots. They had like hats. They were ready for Barbie. And then I felt underdressed. I was like, maybe I should have done more pink. Maybe I should have done more.
Yeah. She wanted me to do that with her too. I'm like,
did you?
No, we haven't gone yet. I think we're busy the opening day, but yeah, she's like, I got to go buy a pink shirt now. So, in solidarity with all the Barbie fanatics.
Yeah. And you won't feel like, oh, I dressed up and no one else did ever. Like, oh, most people were like, they were there for Barbie. It was kind of a nice feeling, like a community, we're like, we're all here to revel in Barbie.
Nice. It was like more of an event than just like going to watch a regular movie. That's cool.
I kind of feel like that's where movies have kind of like gone now, cause like, I guess post pandemic, people stopped going to movies for the most part, and like with the prevalence of streaming and stuff. So it's like now if you're going to a theater, it's not just, oh, I'm going to sit and watch this movie. It's like you kind of want it to be more of like a thing. So
yeah,
that's because I've noticed a lot more theaters are starting to do like food service, or like there's a bar in the theater, or they've got like the recliners, or it's like you can like choose your own seats. Even theaters that didn't used to do that before, they're like, all right, you're going to have an experience.
What theater do you have there in Arizona? Like Alamo Drafthouse or anything?
We have like a Roadhouse and we have a Majestic. I went to Harkins. I used to work at Harkins back in the day. So it's always fun to go back and be like, oh, look what's changed. Looks what's exactly the same.
So you used to work there. That was like your first job?
One of my first jobs. I think I was like 19. And then they kept trying to promote me. And I was like, I don't want to be stuck working at a movie theater for the rest of my life. So I have to quit.
When did you start? How old were you when you first started doing like your voice acting?
Oh God. It might have actually been when I was 19 or early 20s. It's been like almost a decade now. Yeah, I was a child, an infant, really.
Wow, you were smart though, because you essentially started yourself a career. Like that's super cool.
I mean, I never thought it was, going to be like a career, because I thought I'd keep doing like the audiobook stuff. I didn't even like really know much about podcasts in general. So now it's like, now that podcasts are kind of like the main thing that I'm involved with, it's like, oh, and that's always fun to explain to people, because they'll be like, oh, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I work for a podcast. And it's like, what's a podcast? And it's like, here we go.
So you just do that full time now. You don't have to do any like side gigs anymore or anything like that.
It's all. I'll occasionally take on an audiobook if I've like worked with the author before. It's like, or I'm finishing up a series with them. But yeah, for the most part, it's all podcast.
That's awesome. And I know that you did some work with Creepy Pizza.
Yes.
I started checking out a lot of their stuff. I like what they're doing, like real like independent films. And I saw Hex.
I haven't even seen Hex.
You haven't seen Hex?
Oh, I just like anything where it's like I can actually like see myself. I can't. Like I'm like too like just self-conscious. I'm like, oh, there I am. Nope. Run away. Because
that was October 2020. So that was like in COVID. Yeah. So like everybody was just filming your scenes at home.
Yep. It was such a weird experience because I just do audio stuff. So like to have to like, and with audio, like you don't have to like memorize a script or anything. And I was like, I did some plays in middle school and high school. Memorizing a script shouldn't be too hard. And I'm like, wow, I can't remember anything. My goodness. My memory is so bad. So I was like, okay, read. I think I got it. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And so your cat actually made his premiere on the big screen.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be him because there's like a part where it's like I have to like go grab a cat or whatever. And there's certain cats where they're like more friendly than others. They're all very friendly, but some are more like, yes, please notice me, hold me in your arms. So I think, oh God, which one was it? Was it a black cat or a gray cat?
I think it was a black one.
Yeah, that'll be Bean.
Bean.
Yeah, thought for sure it was going to be Earl.
Your character, they're calling you the cat lady.
Oh yeah, I think they knew that because I think they try to like give us characteristics, kind of like how we are in real life. And they're like, we know Jessica has cats, and we know she loves those cats, so she's going to be the weird cat lady. And I'm like, I accept that. That's fair.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's me. That's awesome. So you have 3 cats.
I have 3 cats.
Nice. How's that like? Are they all really cool with each other, or some of them a little standoffish?
They are for the most part. Like they just constantly cuddling and sleeping together and cleaning each other. But one of them has developed an attitude, Dorian. He just like with Bean, he just gets real sassy with him sometimes. Like Bean will be walking by and then Dorian will just slap him in the face. And Bean has no understanding of evil or malice or bullying. So he's like, oh, we're playing now. And Dorian's like, no, I'm trying to be rude to you. And Bean's like, but we're playing now. And then Dorian gets upset. It's like, you started it. What are you doing? You started this. Stop being upset.
Yeah, cats are awesome. We have one, Cat Cuddy, after my favorite artist, Kid Cudi. We've had him. He was like our first pet that we got as a couple. So he's our baby, but he's super chill. Every time somebody comes over, I'm like, hey, he's awesome, but he's an a-hole. And he'll tell you when he doesn't like something. But he's weird because he'll come up to you and like, he's like, yeah, love on me. And then you'll pet him for like a couple minutes and he's like, all right, that's enough. Swipes at you. So I'm like, but we just got a puppy and the puppy's kind of like your other cat that he just wants to play. He wants to be best friends with this cat. And my cat's just like swiping at him, like doing a little paw thing. And
Oh no.
I'm like, buddy, he doesn't want to play with you, man. He's like, no, but we're playing though. So
It's fine. We're best friends. Don't you know? We're best friends, obviously.
yeah, we're best friends.
Yeah.
But he's super chill. I can let him outside on the balcony. I don't have to worry about him running off or anything. He just kind of does his thing. But yeah, so do you, other than cats, you have any dogs or anything, or just the 3?
No, 3 cats. 3 cats is enough. And I feel like with a dog in this heat, because you got to like let him out. It's like, I've seen people with like huskies here in Arizona. I'm like, what are you doing?
Wow.
What are you doing bringing a husky into this kind of environment? Foolery.
I feel bad because I have a German Shepherd here in Texas.
That's not too bad, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean she's fluffy, but it's funny because she has a quarter husky in her, so she's like not a giant German Shepherd. She's kind of like more mild size.
She talkative.
But, yeah,
the husky coming out. Yep.
Mm-hmm. But at this point, like if I'm not getting up at 6:30 in the morning, then I can't really go take him on a long walk because by the time it hits 7, 8 here, it's already like it says like 86, feels 94. I'm like, okay, like I don't want my dogs to die. I might die of heat stroke out here, but yeah, if you don't get up early, then you're gonna have to take them at night. So
yeah, that was one of the few nice things we enjoyed about when we were living in South Dakota, because I was used to, if you want to go on a hike, you have to go early in the morning. You got to wake up at like 5 o'clock. If you got to drive, you got to make sure you're up before the sun is fully up if you want to like be outdoors. But when we lived in South Dakota, it would be like noon and it's like, you want to go take a walk? And it's like, yeah, and just be outside in the afternoon and it's fine. It was a whole new experience.
Yeah, it got to me like right now thinking, I can't wait till fall or I can't wait till winter, which I love summer. I love being able to like do water stuff and things like that. But it's like, I'd rather spend time with my dogs.
Yeah. Fall was always my favorite because it meant summer was over and summer's so hot. But we get so like, seasons are so different here. We get like 6 months of summer and then you get like a month of fall and like a month of like winter. And then you get like a little bit of spring and then it's like, and we're back to summer.
Here we are again.
Yup.
Yeah, it's kind of similar here. It's hot all the way. I mean, up until like October. So it's just like, but yeah, that's cool. So other than your podcasting and hanging out with your kitties, what other hobbies do you do? What are you into?
Oh man, imagine having hobbies. I try to have hobbies. I do. And I just get like, get so overwhelmed because I take everything too serious. Because like originally voice acting was just kind of like a hobby. It was a side project. And then it became a career because like I can't do something and then just like let it exist and be fun and enjoy myself. I have to like get way too into it and way too serious. So I have to like dial myself back anytime I start anything new. I'm like, you could just enjoy it. If you don't have to put it online, you don't have to make it a thing. You can just be something you have fun with.
Cool. So do you, I saw that you also did some Twitch streaming.
Yeah.
So you're a big video game player or what?
Right now we've been working our way through Diablo. That's been something.
Oh yeah. We got to get that one. It's what, Diablo 5 now, right?
4, I think.
Oh, 4?
I think it's 4. Yeah.
Yeah. But I never got into Twitch. I wanted to. My friend was like, yeah, you should do it. Just play video games and talk. So, but I ended up with my research for you. I was like trying to find all things Jessica McEvoy. So let me check out the Twitch thing. So
yeah,
it looked fun.
Oh yeah, no, it was a great time. And it's a really cool way to like be able to like talk to people in the community. Cause a lot of the time, like if you're talking to someone who's like, hey, I'm a fan of your work, that's about the extent of the interaction. They'll be like, hey, I like this thing you did. And you're like, thank you. But like through Twitch and stuff, it's like you can actually like have a conversation with people, which I found really nice to be able to like get to know these people who like know what I do and like what I do. So that was, yeah, I've been meaning to get back into it, but it's just been like, it's hard because like I use Twitter for the most part for like if I was ever involved in a project, or it's like that's where like a lot of my promotion came from. And Twitter's kind of hard to promote yourself on these days. So I'm like, if I get back into streaming, I don't even know how to tell people anymore.
I never ever got into Twitter. I didn't have social media until about like a year ago. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Yeah, I feel old. I just got a Facebook like 2 years ago.
Why did you do that? Now of all time.
Because like I was like online with like the MySpace, and then like when Facebook was first coming out, and then like I just like the place I was in my life, I was like, I'm gonna step away from like social media. You know, it was one of those things where I was like comparing my life to others, and it was just, for me, it was like a negative space. So I kind of just took a step back, and it ended up being like 7 years. And then when I started the podcast, they were like, you got to do it, man. You can't not have social media. So, but I feel like an old man. Like, what am I doing on here?
No, that's the only reason like I got a Twitter or an Instagram and stuff. It was for work. Just like to be like, I have an audiobook out. I need to be able to like tell people I have an audiobook out. But yeah, I don't really do social media, more for like personal means. Cause like anytime I'm about to like say something, like make a post anywhere, I'm like, is this actually interesting? Does anyone care that I'm saying this actually? And then I just like talk myself out of it. So it's like, there's so many times I'd be like, oh, this is kind of funny. And then it's like, is it though? So yeah, I don't post much. And especially now that I'm not doing like audiobooks or anything. And it's all basically like still in like, just do no sleep stuff. And that doesn't really need any announcing. The episodes come out every week. People know, they'll be there.
Oh yeah. We know.
Yeah.
So do you get like a little break between seasons, like now that 19 in, or is it like we're starting 20? Like, let's get into it. Oh yeah,
I've got like the first 3 or 4 episodes of season 20 ready to go. First 2 episodes, they're all marked up, they're all cast. They're just waiting for the time to come to send them out to the admin. Yeah, Editorial doesn't really get much of a break because we have 2 hiatus episodes between the season. And then we do 2 sleepless decompositions. So that could technically be a break, but we are constantly getting submissions. So if we stop responding to submissions, because it's like I don't like having to have people wait so long, because we have quite a few stories that are like, accepted, ready to go. But then it's like, I don't want to like have these people like waiting years to hear back on a story. So we try to keep up with the inboxes as best we can with our little 3-man group.
So the submissions just come like just a bunch of authors are like, hey, you guys would like this story. And then, okay.
Yeah. Anyone can submit. It's submissions at the NoSleep Podcast.com. We have on our website, we have our submissions guidelines. The NoSleepPodcast.com/submissions, I think, is the URL. Anyone can submit. There's no real rules as far as like content goes, as long as it's not like anything too extreme for the most part. We still get that. That's the wonderful thing about the slush pile is you never know what you're going to get. It's so funny because like some authors, they'll be like, just so you know, there's some cursing in this story. And you're like, that's okay. Thanks for the heads up, honey. And then some people, there will be nothing in the body of the email. They will have just attached this document, and out of the blue, it's like the gnarliest torture scene you've ever seen in your life. And you're like, that's how we're starting our Thursday. Okay.
So you probably read some real like dark horror stuff, right? Like,
yeah, a lot of weird smut. Got a lot of weird smut coming in the inbox too. Sometimes it's like, what do I do with this? Have you listened to the show before? I'm not going to make someone say this. I can't make one of my friends say these words out loud. I can't do that to them.
You got to just let them down easy. Hey, thanks for submitting, but this is a little crazy.
Perhaps not for us. Thank you for your time. You can try again later if you feel like it. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So, Jessica.
Me.
First of all, thank you for doing this. I know
Thanks
that you're busy,
me.
but we appreciate like the work that you guys do. You definitely got a fan for life here.
Thank you.
And everybody that's listening or watching, please check out the No Sleep Podcast. When does season 20 drop? A couple weeks or?
Oh, I can actually look it up on my phone right now. I think it starts September 3rd. Yep. So we have the season finale was this weekend. We have our 2 hiatus episodes, 2 sleepless decompositions. And yep, September 3rd is when the season 20 officially starts with episode 1.
Yay. Are you going to be in the episode?
Oh, let me check. I can actually find out.
Look at me putting you on the spot. I'm so sorry.
I know. I have the Dropbox open, so we're fine. Let's see. What do we got here? We have 6 stories for you. Nope. There's no me in it. I think I'm in episode 2. Am I in episode 2? Yes, I'm in episode 2.
Awesome.
So, yeah, there we go.
So everybody be on the lookout for that. And again, thanks, Jessica. Anything else you want to say before we go?
No, just thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's always weird when people are like, I want to interview you. And I'm like, about what?
You have an interesting life, dude. I mean, like, I would kill to just be talking scary stories and stuff like that. So
do it. So many
you know what? I don't want to end it there because I did have one more question for you.
Okay.
All right. So how would one prepare to be the best voice actor they can be? Steps I could take.
Oh man. See, you're coming to somebody who has no training in anything. But what I hear so many things. I'll give you like the basic things. It's practice, it's listen to yourself and just kind of keep track of how you sound. It all really comes down to just doing the thing. But something I don't really hear people talk about is reading, just reading books. Because what we do, like especially like the podcast and how we do things and stuff like that, we don't work with a director. There's nobody telling us how to say things. So having good reading comprehension and just understanding sentence fluency and just being able to hear how things sound in your head, like you don't really need someone to tell you how to say things, So that's like half the job is reading, whether you're reading beforehand to prepare for the role, whether you're reading it directly in front of you. It all comes down to being able to read something and know how it sounds. So it's not the answer most people want because I know a lot of people.
Oh, like, damn, I need to start reading now.
Yeah, have kind of like a combative, idea when it comes to like reading and stuff. But yeah, I think that's been my biggest strength in voice acting because one of the biggest compliments I get from some of the authors I've worked with is you read it just how it sounded in my head. So being able to like see something and know how you're supposed to say it, I think that comes from a large part of me being such a big reader growing up.
Yeah, you can tell, like, it's the way you enunciate everything. Like, it's weird because I talk with like I guess a Texas. I don't know if it's like a Texas accent, but like whenever I say like important, like you'll say important, like with the.
I have the same accent you do. It's where it's all glottal and you like don't hit consonants. That took some work to get there because I used to just like run all my words together. And I think someone made a comment on it on one of the audiobooks I did once. They're like, she doesn't say her consonants, and I'm like, well, I guess like then I kind of like over enunciated for a while because it's like I got to make sure that I say all of these words. And I think I've finally found like a midpoint where it's like I can speak and be understood, but I don't sound like a crazy person, hopefully.
No, not at all.
Oh, good.
All right. Well, that was awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna actually take that to heart because, you know, voice acting is something that I've always thought about, you know, that I wanted to do. But reading is something I don't do. I will. I'll pick up a book, Jessica. I promise.
For me? Yeah, no, honestly, it all just comes down to just doing it and just accepting that at the beginning, you're not going to be where you want to be. Because like listening to yourself when you first start, you're like, do I really sound like that? Oh God, please no. But you get over it and you just keep talking, and eventually it sort of sounds nice to some people, and you kind of go with that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like start just pulling up like Reddit stories and just reading them. Like I'm gonna get my wife to play parts.
That's a great way to start. Yeah.
Right. So you'll never know. I might be next on the scene.
Oh, do it, man. Do it.
Tell David I'm coming. No, but this has been fun. And like I said, I can't thank you enough for just giving us your time. And thank you for being a part of the frequency.
Oh, is that what you say? I'm part of the frequency
You're
now?
part of the frequency
that.
now.
Yay!
You're a frequency fam. There you go.
Oh, okay. I'll get a shirt.
Yeah, I got to get some merch going. But, you know, all my 20 viewers, I don't know. Let me wait till I hit like 35 and then we'll.
Shout out to those 20 viewers. If you're one of the originals, you know.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They've been rocking with me. I mean, is half of them my friends and family? Maybe. We'll see. I don't know.
But look, that other half, like, it's so hard to start a podcast these days.
Oh, wow.
You know, if you have one person you don't know listening to what you do, that's a triumph.
Oh, yeah. Like, I've gotten one comment, like, at least on YouTube, of somebody I have no idea who they are. And they're like, hey, keep up the good work. I'm like, awesome. Like,
Thanks, that guy. Shout out to that guy in particular.
Yeah. I mean, like, when I started this, I was just like, I just wanted to do something, meet people. And, you know, the bulk of them have been musicians here in Austin and just really talented, amazing people. And then, you know, to go from like just meeting all these bands and then they're like recommending other guests, like, hey, you should interview so-and-so. And then
that's so cool.
I'm nervous to meet them. And then by the time I do, they're super down to earth, you know, like yourself. And like, now I'm literally talking to somebody from the NoSleep Podcast. Like I'm fanboying out right now.
I promise you I'm not a big deal. I'm so boring.
To us, you are, okay?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so cool. You're now part of the frequency, and yeah. It's always so awkward on ending these. Like
just
I'm like,
doing like an abrupt cut, just like in the middle of the sentence.